thought what I'll do is just really start off by talking to you a little bit about us as a business. So who are we, what do we do, and what's our experience within the contact centre marketplace. We've been providing call centre solutions and contact centre solutions since, goodness me, the sort of mid-80s, so a lot of experience there. The other thing I really then want to do is to talk around how we work with customers. So there's obviously lots of great technology out there, but it also gets very confusing as to which bits to use and why, and what sort of business benefit it can deliver. Some of the other things that I see is, you've got the guys who are very much focused on the technology, and then you've got the guys that are very much focused on the business and the business outcomes that they want to see. And then usually there's a little bit of a gap in the middle. And one of the client case studies I'll talk through, it was a prime example of this, where we'd actually taken one of it was a telecoms manager through, working with them, sitting down, looking at all these technology upgrades and new features that were available, and really talking about how we deployed them for other customers. And what we probably had that discussion on and off in excess of a year, and then this is an organisation that they were moving their head office, and the call centre was absolutely integral to what they're doing. And for sure, most organisations, the call centre is clearly is a focal point. It's either a revenue generator, or it's an element that's there to support customers. And what we found is we were moving at a real slow pace. The change of head office was a catalyst for this. And actually the operations director of that business came to one of these events for an update, and at the time we were talking about flexible working and changing working practices that are happening out there in the market, and again the role that technology has in supporting that, and I'll pick up on a couple of those elements as well. And we had a staggering, I think, 2-minute conversation over a coffee, and I went in and had this meeting with him and his operations manager, and the telecoms manager and the IT director, and it felt like I was an interpreter. I was sat in the middle of this table, had the sort of technical guys on the left and the business people on the right, and they were both talking to each other, but it wasn't really registering. These guys had very clear views as to what they wanted to get out of the call centre and the technology, and these guys had very clear views on how the technology was changing and evolving, and what they wanted to do from a support perspective and the sort of technology decisions they wanted to make. But there was this gap in the middle. So I probably spent an hour just asking different questions of each group. And what we then did is we were looking at some of the challenges that the business faces, and I think in today's environment, some of the problems that we all have is we recognise the importance of technology, but technology comes at a price. So there's an investment that's needed to go and implement technology to support business. Now, I think if you go and look at the makeup and the cost elements of an organisation, a very, very high proportion clearly is going to be the people within the business. So it could be 60% of the overall cost of the organisation of the people. So that's the first thing, is that these, it's the people that are the ones that are interfacing with the customers, that are helping to take our products or services out to market, that are providing support. And actually, technology has a really great role to play in making people more efficient, delivering a more consistent level of service and interaction to customers. But unless you've got that view at the front end of what it is we're trying to achieve as a business, what is it we've got to do, where are we going, and fundamentally, what is the experience and services that we need to deliver, it makes it pretty hard to go and look at how you map the technology to support it. So that's a lot of what we do. We then, in that example, we spent a day with them. We went and sat in the contact centre, so we met we talked through the operations director around the challenges that he was facing in the business and what he wanted to do and how they wanted to sort of take the organisation forward. It's a changing market because they're a media organisation, and that's gone through a lot of change, right? They're looking at how they can do more online as well. So how can they support new channels for their customers and sort of take the organisation forward? We met with the call centre manager. We met with the guys actually using the technology and talking to customers. And we sat and we talked through the experience that the customers were having when they were calling into the organisation. When you go beyond that, you're then looking at the importance of how you actually measure. You first of all define, but then how do you measure what people are doing and the approach that they're taking. And we've seen technology where we can audit these interactions, we can grade people. And what was amazing is they had a pen and paper approach to reporting. So the agents are marking things out that they're doing throughout the day. They're handling telephone calls and emails, and who in today's environment hasn't seen a big increase in email communication? We're certainly seeing that it's in excess of 50% of the interactions tend to be dealt with via email today. Yet it seems kind of weird that if we're treating this as an overall interaction to the organisation, that we still, in many cases, focus purely on the telephone system and the reporting associated with that. So at the end of the day, these guys are handing their bits of paper in, and the manager was counting it all up, and they were looking at what they were doing. And what was really interesting is the ones who were busiest clearly weren't having as much time to fill their sheets out. So these were people that were actually looking like they weren't handling as much and they weren't so productive. And what we did is we worked with them. We looked at the overall requirements of the organisation and the area that the call centre had to play, or the contact centre had to play in it. And we worked with them to actually design grade of service and service level agreements, and then from there building the reporting to be able to help them manage it accordingly. And then we started looking at the technology behind it. So it was very much a case of, what do you want to do? How do we work with you to design this program? And then what are the technology components that we bring together to plug in? And we've taken them through quite a change. I talked through new technology methods and deployments that we're implementing today, which really start to change the way in which people use technology. So, we're in a world where we want to be, very agile in the way in which we're delivering services. Customers, as consumers, and I think this is a really important thing that we should never forget, is that we should think of our own experiences as consumers and then translate that back into the services that we actually deliver to market ourselves. It's very easy to sort of get caught up in internalising how we're working and what we think we should do, but we all experience it ourselves, that we know what great service is and we know what bad service is. And what I've seen over my time at Britannic and working with contact centres and customers who deploy technology is, as consumers, we'll have a pretty clear view around what's good. And then irrespective of the organisation that we deal with or the type of service that we're consuming, that becomes our benchmark. So I might contact a bank and I might think, actually, I'm really happy with how they've serviced me and how I've got the information and how they've treated me as an individual. And then the next day, I might be going through a website and decide there's a certain product I want to go and buy, and I'd like to talk to someone about it. Well, actually, you talk about transferable experiences and benchmarks. That is my new benchmark. That's my minimum level of the service I would expect to get in the next transaction that I undertake. So it's a completely different shift, completely different industry, but that's how I'm actually viewing how people should deal with me. And of course, one of the things I said before is about how we support and accommodate choice as well. So I'll come on to that. There's a number of different areas to talk through, and it'd be great to to get your views of the sort of challenges that you face, what you're being driven to deliver for the business, but also for the customers as well. And I'll just share some examples of what we've done in the past and where we see the future going as well. So, who are Britannic? Very well established organisation, really coming from the telecoms marketplace. So set up in 1984. As I said, a lot of experience within the contact centre marketplace, and that was born from some early customers at the time, people such as Trailfinders and Reed Business, who are still clients of ours today, who wanted to implement ACD type solutions and technology, so automatic call distribution. And this was back in the 80s, where the choice was relatively limited and also very expensive. So it was as we heard from Jane earlier on, the 80s was really the start of the call centre revolution, but it was very, very expensive to go and implement. So it tended to be the much larger organisations that were using that technology. And of course, we had customers, who had 30 staff that had seen the benefit. Jane was mentioning the travel industry that were early adopters of this type of technology. So we had Trailfinders who set up as an organisation, 50 employees, but they wanted to compete with the bigger organisations in the market. They wanted to deliver the same sort of service, but also use technology to become more efficient in the way in which they were interacting with their customers and processing these orders. So we designed an ACD platform for them that we went away, worked with them, looked at what they wanted to do, and also, as I said, Reed Business, and built this platform out, which was great because it gave us a lot of experience actually of what people wanted to do with the contact centre. From there, we then, again very early on, started to look at the process of integrating systems together. If you track back and look at some of the things that government many years ago have tried to drive through, this whole process of joined up working and single citizen view, it may happen one day, but it's really about how you deliver a consistency of service and interaction, irrespective of how people contact you, which point they come into the organisation as well. That's an important thing, and how technology plays a part in it. And of course, the last thing you want to do is to have this sort of siloed cultures of different technology stacks of departments that people are contacting you through. So if you're going to look at combating that and actually bringing it together, then actually what you need to do is to join technology and systems together. So systems integration was always a very important challenge. So going back 15 years ago, we worked on some projects with customers where they were getting the telephone calls in, they were opening up software applications, and then they were processing interactions and orders or delivering advice to customers. And clearly CTI technology had been around for a little while, but again, very, very expensive. So we really set about how can we do this differently? How can we make this sort of technology that can really deliver a wow factor? When someone calls in, they can get the information of the caller displayed to them automatically. They can actually, as an agent, they can get all the tools and systems they need that correspond to the process that they're actually going to go and undertake. So we provided our first CTI project. It was complex. I remember doing it. It was we were working with lots of different companies at the time, bringing together software vendors and looking at the reporting and information. So working with business objects, because yes, you can get information out of a call center system, but actually the real value is when you start to tie it up with other systems and applications as well. It's one thing seeing that certain members of staff have been handling lots more calls, and they might have spent more time on the telephone. But how does that actually translate into orders closed or greater services delivered? If you can start to pull different information streams together and actually report against that, that's a very, very different mechanic. So as a business, we took the decision to go and invest in a software company. We went and brought those skills in-house, and we looked at how we were going to provide the glue for customers to join these different worlds together. And that, as I said, really sort of started to change how we were delivering technology to market. And today, I'm very pleased to say that customers such as Trailfinders and as I said, Reed Business, clients of ours today, continue to work with us. Many customers we work with in excess of 10, in fact 20, some even 25 years. And I think that's the real acid test, that the technology will move and change throughout the process, but it's about how do you grab all of this new stuff that's available and how do you translate it into a business solution. So how do you join these two worlds together? So there's a few things that I'll throw up on a slide in a bit that I think are just things to think about and discussion points, and I'll give you some examples of where we've seen it and how we've worked with customers to sort of bring these worlds together, but also how we work together with customers really as teams to try and implement technology that's going to benefit the organisation, as opposed to implement technology that is doing it for technology's sake, if that makes sense. We've won a number of awards. There's a lovely picture up there. So this is really recognition of our ability to deliver upon what we're saying. And I'm very pleased to say that we've been shortlisted for 3 major industry awards this year as well. So there's Enterprise Reseller of the Year, Enterprise Mobile Solution of the Year, and one that I think really excited about, which really supports change that we're going through, which I'll share with you, is Enterprise Hosted Solution Provider of the Year as well. So you may have all heard of the cloud. You could probably really struggle to avoid that message coming from our market. So everyone's talking about the cloud today. Everyone's talking about hosted services and systems. And certainly what I have seen in the past is there's lots of different companies that have sprung up delivering hosted services and technology. But in essence, what we've seen is there's been a trade-off in the functionality that tends to be delivered from those solutions. So people have moved to it because of the change in climate and change in the way in which people consume technology today. They're looking at this sort of agile world of being able to turn things up and turn things down, and it's more of a trend of the consumerisation of IT that we're seeing in the market. And I think the hosted services have really latched on to that requirement. But as I said, for me, some of the challenges that were faced with it was a trade-off in functionality. So people have been coming from contact centre solutions that have evolved and grown over multiple years into moving to more of a cloud-based environment. And we're going to get to see the Mitel technology. I know Steve's going to talk through roadmap as well. But I think for me, one of the great things is the fact that the Mitel solutions and the software stream is the same, irrespective of how it's delivered. And that's a really big differentiator. That's something that we looked at 3 years ago. We wanted to support this changing market to move to the cloud and deliver hosted stuff. But we didn't want to deliver something that we felt wasn't going to support the customers and the technology they've been used to. So we elected to build out our infrastructure, implementing Mitel and indeed Redbox technology into our cloud-based environment. And that's great, because that means that as customers evolve and they want to implement new technology, Rich was talking about the sort of licensing models and the ability to sort of deploy technology in a small environment, trial it, use it, and grow from there. It actually supports all of those requirements that people have got. yet delivers the functionality. So I'll pick up on a few of those as well. We've got a lot of very strong partnerships in the marketplace, indeed of which Mitre and Redbox are important partners. But we also focus on these elements as well, delivering quality service and very structured execution of technology. So we use Prince2 project management for the delivery of technology. And what we've seen is, again, this marketplace is really confusing, without question. There's lots and lots of different choice out there, lots of different technology, lots of new things that are happening. The cloud is one change, what's happening with Microsoft, what's happening with Google, which route do I go, how do I make sure that I'm moving forward and actually not closing myself off to choices that I might want to make in the future. So what we have really focused our time and efforts on is to work with customers from a more of a strategic perspective. So looking at where people are at today, where they want to get to, the operational needs, challenges, customer experience, expectations, and then actually how do we go and build out a plan that will take people through a process of evolution. I think the last thing people want to really do today is a big bang approach, a revolution of technology and systems. So again, how do we take what's available? How do we take what you're used to and you're using, and how do we start to refresh that and implement new technology to meet market opportunities, customer requirements? How do we bring in all these different new channels? So whether it be adding email into the contact center, whether it be adding social media, or indeed, what's the option and route moving forward for looking at video implementation and integration? Because I do think, again, there's going to be a change. Video is not something that's really talked about today in the contact center marketplace, but as more and more people get used to using video in the consumer space, you'll start to see this technology and the requirement coming into the contact center. And actually, what a great thing! If you can start to embrace that technology, you can create much better interaction and relationship, and you can start to use visuals and body language to improve the interaction and connection that you have with customers as well. I mean, we've used the technology very successfully with clients where they've got remote workers and they want to bring people in to feel, inclusive environment, to feel part of the organisation. So why not go and do the same thing with customers as well? So just a couple of questions to throw out there. We've got lots of different technology at our disposal, and strong set of partners. And I think for us, it's the importance of sitting down and working out an individual plan, but it's also the ability to take what is a lot of experience that we have in the marketplace. We look after it's in excess of 150 contact centres across the UK. So, and that's across many different sectors, delivering different services, and whether it be a help desk operation, whether it be a service operation, whether it be a telemarketing or a sales operation. We've seen a lot of things that work that we can go and help to reference and implement into customers. And this bit as well, the in-house technical experience, the in-house development team, very, very important. We see the opportunity of improving productivity and efficiency through systems integration. So there's DTI stamps on CTI. Who uses CTI? The sort of screen pop and click to dial. So not many, yeah? And as I said, it's been one of those technologies that's been seen as very expensive to go and implement. So we knew the benefits that could be delivered. As I said, DTI stats talk to call dialing errors of up to 10%, and also the ability to save up to 20 seconds per transaction. And that's an obvious thing, right? Because if the telephone number is correct in the database, if you just click a button, then there's a fair chance that the call is going to be made without somebody pressing the wrong number in on the telephone keypad. The other thing, the flip side of it, is to start looking at this sort of call handling process. So if I get a call in to my organisation, the last thing I would want to experience as a consumer is somebody who doesn't know who I am. I have to wait on the line when they're going through and trying to find my details, and then, worse still, I'll go and get transferred to someone else and I have to start that whole process off again. That is not a good customer experience, and I'm sure we've all experienced it ourselves. Yeah. So the idea of using technology to automatically bring up the database screen, or indeed, as we've done in the past, workflow applications, to be able to provide greater productivity and efficiency is a really, really big changer. If you look at it, I'll talk through an example that we implemented this technology for, and again, it's going back some time ago now, where it was a sort of second wave of technology we put in for Reed Business. They came to us and they came to us with a challenge, and their challenge is the board wanted to sell more to their customers. They wanted to increase the cross-sell and upsell, so doing a lot within the sort of traditional print media at the time, but they wanted to start selling web advertising as well. That's the first thing. We want to sell more to our customers. The next challenge they had is looking at the customer experience that they were delivering, is they were getting calls into the call centre. I don't know if you know them, but they're the publishers for things such as Computer Weekly. So they had 10 or 12 different publications, and what they created was pockets of specialists in each area. So you can imagine that, they've got 60-ish people in the call centre, and at different times of the day people would call in, and the specialists, I'm afraid, are all on the telephone. They either get an engaged tone back, or they get answered by someone who doesn't know anything about that publication, or they have to go and sit in a queue and wait. So the experience that they were delivering was not a good one. They were losing business, and they were trying to cope with it, but they weren't actually, they were taking up resource to try and deal with things they didn't know. So they wanted to increase business, and they wanted anybody across the whole call centre to deal with any inquiry that came in, irrespective of what publication. You think about, and I'm sure you've all experienced it in the call centre. It tends to be an environment where you can have a reasonable churn of staff, right? So you go and bring people in, you spend a lot of time training them up, and then a proportion of those staff are going to move on. So you're in this cycle of trying to bring people in, develop them, train them, and get the most out of them when they're there. So they were suffering from this. So what we did is we looked at it and we said, okay, that's the challenge you're going to give us, and what we'll do is we'll design a system that we think will address those business requirements you've got. And it was quite simple, really. What we did is we said, well, stage one is if a customer calls in, if you've got a telephone number, then wouldn't it be really good to tell the person who's answering the call who's on the telephone? So that's stage one. Stage two is actually, wouldn't it be really good if you could display previous interactions and orders and a bit of information about those people as opposed to just who they are. So, yeah, tick, we agree with that. And of course the next bit from there is, well, actually, wouldn't it be really good that when they phone in, that you actually knew what they were phoning about as well? So you could present all of that information in an easy to use and follow format, so that whoever had answered the call could deal with that interaction and actually focus on delivering a good service experience, and of course selling more. Yeah, so that was the agreement. Yeah, it would be great. So we went and designed this system that took the telephone number of who was calling in, linked into their CRM application, displayed all the information, and at the same time, on the other half of the screen, it displayed the publication they'd phoned about. So, I knew who was calling, I knew all the previous interactions I had with them. If it was an outstanding order, I could pick it up and conclude it. And I was now an expert on something I knew absolutely nothing about, because all of that information was displayed to me in a very easy to follow sort of process flow on the screen. We designed it, we built it, we implemented it, and of course the important thing is, because we worked with them closely to design all of this out using technology that was available, plus a bit of our integration stuff, what we were able to do was implement something that had fantastic user adoption. So the training process was defined with them. It was focused on how do you use technology to achieve the business objectives you need, and the outcome they had within a very, very short space of time, quote from their sales director, was an increase of, they attributed £500,000 worth of extra business to it, because they could increase the cross-sell and upsell of between 20 and 80%, depending upon the publication, because people had everything they needed to do to conduct their job. The grade of service they offered was improved dramatically, because people weren't on hold. They weren't having to talk to somebody who didn't know what they were talking about. And this, to me, is what it's really about. Is the call centre is clearly a very, very important part of any organisation. It's been put together for a reason. We do have a lot of experience in delivering this technology. I'm just going to bring a few points up and then we'll talk through them. But I think the important thing is understanding those business needs and how we go and construct a solution. There's lots of technology out there, but it's which bits do we use? So I thought maybe if we just talk about, if anyone wants to offer up some business challenges that they've got, things that the businesses have asked you to deliver within the contact centre, or requirements that you're seeing from staff, or indeed from customers, we can talk through some of those. If not, I can give you plenty of other examples, and then, as I said, I'll talk about what we've seen, the changes that we've seen in the marketplace, and then different technology components that we bring together. I'll talk through as well as we move forward these sort of new deployment methods and technology components and solutions that we've put together that really start to change the way in which contact centres run and how you interface with customers, and elements like we've got there, to automate or not to automate, which technology should be used. I think that's a key point, the sort of appropriate use of technology. I know myself, if I call a call centre and I get into a very complex IVR system, and I get given all these choices and I keep getting lost because I'm not really listening that much, how frustrating it is for me as a consumer. So we've all got our horror stories of what is an experience that we don't want to see, but I'm sure we've all got our experience of what's a good use of technology as well. So anyone want to start with drivers they've got? I think I've mentioned cross-sell, upsell. Customer experience is quite on vogue at the moment. We used to talk about customer relationship management, seems to have flipped over to customer experience. Are there any things that you're being driven to deliver from the organisation or customers?
Customer satisfaction.
Sorry?
Customer satisfaction.
Customer satisfaction, okay. And is that linked to, again, lots of different reasons why customer satisfaction is important. What's the organisation that you're from?
We're in housing.
Okay, so again, within housing, contact centres are really integral to the services delivered. So it's a main focal point for interaction. When you say, clearly it's not a commercial world, so it's not quite a captive audience, but these are customers that you've got, and what we've experienced working within the housing market is there's a number of performance indicators that you need to go and support. So service, customer satisfaction, things like increasing the call closure on first point of call.
Resolution.
Absolutely, yeah. So these are things that, because it's not such a commercial, competitive world for yourselves, it's you're being driven to deliver an improved, tenant access and service. What's really interesting is when you look at a customer satisfaction program, is what are you actually measuring? What are the SLAs and the service grades that you need to deliver, and then from there, how does the technology play a part? So let's take first call resolution as an example linked to customer satisfaction. So a number of things that you can do. If you started to use maybe the CTI technology that I talked about.
We have the technology.
Okay.
It's not switched on, but we have the technology.
Okay, and what was the rationale for implementing CTI? What was the driver behind that?
We are a merge of other housing associations, so we have a CRM system, Civica, purchased by the previous merge, and I don't really know who was the decision to do it. We don't know, but the technology is there. It's just being switched off. I think we are looking to switch on back it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we've got it up there, which is personalised service. So again, in the housing community, you're going to have different types of tenants. So there's going to be vulnerable tenants, and what we've seen with the sort of skills-based or the intelligent-based approach within contact centre is to understand customers, understand that not everyone's the same, so they've got different needs or different requirements, like to be communicated with or handled in a different way. And I think against there is a case of trying to understand their preferences and demands. Yeah, so we talk about multimedia channels and communication. Well, okay, if I can communicate via the telephone, via email, via SMS, via web, via social media, I'm going to have different pockets of customers that actually I might want to communicate via the telephone, but the last thing I want to do is to communicate over Facebook. Yeah. So if you can understand from there, database flags. If you can understand the preferences that people have, you can start to build appropriate automation into the systems. So you could have sort of skills-based or preference-based routing as an example. These are things that can help to drive satisfaction. It's a case of connecting the caller to the best person able to deliver that interaction and support. So again, this is what we tend to do with customers: is map out the call flows, and not just on the phone, but across different media types. And then beyond there, it's a case of understanding the different customer groups or segments or profiles, and what's the right path to follow for those people. If you then start to think about first call resolution, beyond it, you may have people who have are going to struggle with an interaction. They might need to bring a colleague in to help them. So we haven't seen it yet. I know we'll see it at the demo, but things like the colour coding, presence and availability. So if it's green, somebody's able to take a call. I can see if they're on the phone, but they could answer a quick quick chat session, quick question for me. If you can start to build those in and build up sort of subject matter experts and pull these people from the back office into the front office, then you can actually start to during interaction start to drive closure rates at the front end. So lots and lots of different things to think about now. And I think beyond that, then that's the route of using recording technology as well. So if you go and work out what you think is the best way of running this and interacting with the customers, then actually you're going to need, in my view, there's a really important place that recording and evaluation has to play in this, because you actually need a management tool to be able to ensure that what you've set out to deliver is actually what's happening. So clearly we'd love to talk to you, but it's a case of sort of going through, asking more questions, and looking at the experience and the drivers that are delivered within the organisation. So customer experiences and expectations. So this is a tough one, right? Because what we see, as we move forward, is people want multiple routes into an organisation. As I said, today I might wake up and decide I'm going to email you. Tomorrow I might wake up and decide I'm going to put a phone call in. And of course, what I want is a consistency of approach when I contact you. I want, if I come into department over here that's delivering a certain service, if the next day I come in via this route, I really would, as a consumer, like to think that my information travels with me, and the way in which you support me and interact with me is the same. I mean, it's great for a business because it becomes a hell of a lot more efficient, and you're delivering, as I said, that wow factor, and it's much better for customers as well. So this bit is changing. Customers' demands are changing. We're in this always-on culture. Multimedia and multi-channel is one thing, but the other thing is that we like to get the information when we want to go and get it. Who's had to change their opening hours of service over the last 5 years? Yeah. Because again, people want, everyone's busy these days. It was great to read in the paper yesterday that the UK worker now averages 47.1 hours per week, the highest in Europe. It's an environment that we're seeing that everyone's striving to do more and achieve more. And we're in a climate where budgets are tight, so people are being stretched to achieve a lot more. And as I said, I think technology has a major part to play, working with people to help to provide automation and improvements and deliver the right information at the right time to the right people. So what I'll do is I'll just talk through some of the technology that's available, because we can stand up and talk around customer experiences and case studies forever. But let's talk about some of the technology components that we're delivering to customers that I see fitting very well within the contact centre space. So first of all, something that we did, as I said, tracking back 3 years ago, is we recognised the change in technology delivery and infrastructure. So we've seen this trend of people wanting to move to the cloud, wanting to move to hosted environments, and trying to take away the complexity of how technology is delivered to the organisation and the end users. So we built out resilient data centre infrastructure, where again, with companies such as Redbox and Mitel, we've been taking customers who have had systems in individual locations and moving them up into a cloud-based infrastructure. Why would we go and do that? Well, it makes it a lot easier if we've got a distributed organisation to be able to manage the functionality that's provided, to go and build out templates, to go and extend across the organisation. It also creates a centralised licensing pool. So I'm able to use technology I've invested in to actually get a much better return for the organisation as a whole. What we found is organisations, again, I'll pick up on a couple. So Kent Messenger recently, Trailfinders, where they've got multiple locations across the country, and they've got individual telephone systems in each area, individual call recording solutions, individual telephone lines. So they may have used things such as non-geographic numbers or IP networking to try and join these together as an enterprise system. But what we were finding is they were still working with a sort of siloed approach to technology. They still had hardware and software and telephone lines on individual sites, which clearly is not the most efficient way of working. So what we did working with those customers was to take all of this technology, look at how they were working, audit it, look at what they really needed, look at where cost savings could be achieved, and look at how we would introduce new technology to drive business improvements, staff efficiency improvements, and customer service improvements. And we took all of the phone systems, moved them into the data center. We've worked with them to look at the sort of core flows across the organization as a whole, as opposed to individual sites and locations. And we've built out what is a sort of super platform for them that spans multiple locations. Now, Trailfinders is an example. They had 1,400 telephone lines across the country, across over 30 different sites. So handling a lot of calls, circa 5 million calls a year into the call centre. But they had way more telephone resource than they actually needed. But what they couldn't do, because of the environment that they had, was they couldn't shrink that down because they needed to accommodate peaks and troughs that across individual locations were different, at different times. So we worked with them to actually size this out properly as if it was a great big call centre in a single location. What was important for them was to retain local presence on the high street, to be seen, get the visibility, to be able to support, as part of multi-channel communications, actually support people coming in for face-to-face interaction as well, yet still run this as a very efficient, high service-focused call centre. So over a period of time, we took all of the telephony and we moved it into this data centre environment. The telephone line requirements, now as an enterprise sort of networked platform, shrunk from 1,400 down to a maximum capacity at any one time of 500 telephone lines. So for them, massive cost saving, in excess of £250,000 a year taken out of their telecoms budget that they can go and either add to the bottom line, reinvest elsewhere in new technology, or indeed across the organisation as a whole. The other thing that it did is, the importance of the call centre can't be underestimated. If we've got downtime, what's the impact? So we were able to use SIP technology, so it's telephone lines over data connections, to be able to build the same sort of resilience and control that customers have experienced from non-geographic telephone numbers. So the 0800, the 0845, 0870, 03 numbers that people have been used to. Again, working with them, they were getting pushback from customers and advice in the market that actually non-geographic numbers have got a really bad press. There's a lot of uncertainty as to the charging associated with non-geographic numbers. There's a huge cost associated with calling these numbers from mobile telephones as well. So they were really concerned that they were losing business by using that as their face to the market. So they wanted to move to a geographic numbering policy, but they didn't want to lose the network control that they had. So if a site wasn't available with non-geographic numbers, they could redistribute it anywhere across the organisation. So that was a real challenge they came to us with. And in fact, that coupled with what was their busiest day of the year, one Saturday in January, some clever construction person managed to cut through 210 telephone lines into their busiest travel centre. So they were down for a period of time because they had a mixture of non-geographic, which very easy to move, but some geographic telephone numbers, and they were losing business. So what we've been able to do is to set up multiple resilient routes using this sort of new form of telephone numbering using SIP. So now at network level, I can reroute calls should somebody cut through a data connection anywhere in the organisation, whether it be to another location, whether it be home workers, whether it be people on mobile telephone numbers. And the beauty of it is I can lift and shift these numbers and the call traffic, not just on bearers that you would in an ISDN environment. I can do it on individual DDI numbers. And these are all the things to consider, business continuity, disaster recovery. If I've got an issue, the last thing I want to do is to take a huge influx of interaction and calls and just dump it into a single location. What actually you rather would do would be to spread the load across the business and reduce the impact. So, these are all the things we went through with them, and we completed the implementation a few months back now. It's been an absolute success, and the level of control that they've had in their organisation is higher than they've ever had. The visibility, the call routing, but also it's done a lot more cost effectively today. And I think with these types of models, when you look at new technology, and there's lots of choice out there, the importance is to be able to test, understand how it's going to work, pilot it with groups of people in the organisation, get the buy-in, and then be able to implement it rapidly within an organisation. So Trailfinders, when they opened up a new travel centre in Exeter, they came to us. We were able to build the platform before they had access to the building, take Exeter telephone numbers, test all of this, and then deploy it to site. Yeah. So everything was tested. We knew it was going to work, and we knew how it would fit into the organisation as a whole. And then we had, we worked together to see how quickly we could do it. So we actually did this start to finish in 2 days to be able to go and deploy a new telephony platform which was integrated with our CRM system with new sort of automatic failover numbers and call recording technology. And that's now a template that they can pick up and drop into new locations as they roll out. So for me, there's lots of great stuff that's available. What I like more than anything else is the challenge, right? Is what is it we need to do in our business? What challenges do we face? What are our customers asking for? What's the organisation asking for? And then we'll sit down and we run workshops with clients. I had a 9-hour session with a customer where they didn't know what they wanted to do with the technology. They actually had Mitel and Redbox technology in already, but they didn't know what they wanted to do. The business side, they had an idea what they wanted to do. The IT team had an idea what they wanted to do, but the two hadn't been joined together. So we ran 6 workshops over a day, and we actually worked with them to audit how they were working as an organisation, what technology was available, and we built and designed a platform that would support multiple services across the same technology to improve the sales that we're delivering, improve the efficiency, improve the management information, and also move it into a more agile and responsive environment. And I think that goes live over the next couple of weeks. So it's a changing world. As I said, it's not about using technology for technology's sake. It's about how we work together to really understand what the business drivers, requirements are, how we build out plans that are going to support that, so that when we're looking at making the investment, we've got a really clear understanding as to what we're going to get out of it, how it's going to help improve the position for the organisation, the customers, and the staff within it. So hopefully that's just given you, we've got a number of case studies, so I've mentioned a few of them throughout. This is quite an interesting one because ISS there, we've worked with them for about 10 years now, and they had lots of different locations, different types of phone systems and service providers. So over a period of time we've consolidated all of that down. We've built out automation through IVR systems, so their staff can call in, they can it's a time and attendance type system, it links in with their payroll application, and we've moved all of their telephony, which was spread across in excess of 10 locations, into this cloud-based environment. And when you look at contact centre, they hadn't used call centre technology themselves as an organisation, and they've just won the contract for Barclays Bank, so massive contract for them as an organisation, and they now needed to build out a 100-user call centre, national call centre, and because of the infrastructure and what we created for them, within a very, very rapid period of time, we're able to sit with ISS, sit with the team from Barclays Bank who were being TUPI'd over to the business, and actually design the call centre, build it, test it, and actually deliver it from their new core infrastructure. So the agility of being able to deliver this new technology in the sort of environments that we're seeing today is greatly improved, but also the resilience as well, because we can create duplicate systems. So if there's a problem, we can automatically cut over and fail over to secondary systems. So lots of case studies, lots of experience, and Mitel say nice things about us as well.